So actually, should we quickly discuss Hunter
Yes,
then?
sure.
Okay, so these are the two quite hyped up Hunter legendaries that have been revealed.
Yeah, Hunter the only class to get two legendaries rather than one.
It,
But
it
they're
would
all
it,
the way
it
to
would
the
it would
top.
it would be Hunter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean Hunter's a bit underpowered. They need their help, don't they?
Yeah, I think the face Hunter's lacking.
Hunters need some love from Blizzard. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they just need a bit more direct damage. But
But these minions are quite good. I don't have a problem with them
jokes
being
aside,
introduced.
they're not like aggro. These are not.
Yeah,
These are not Hunters. Not it's not a 5-mana 10-1 with charge or something silly.
yeah. So Acidmore and Dreadscale. Acidmore, the bigger 7-mana creature. Whenever another minion takes damage, destroy it.
I mean,
Like obviously combos well with something like Unleash the Hounds.
or
The
Dreadscale.
problem, yeah, with or Dreadscale. The problem is the combo with Dreadscale. You've got two one-of-a-kind cards in your deck. You can't consistently pull that. And it would need. I think you run this in, or the only place this card would fit is a more control-y hunter,
Which I think they're
because
trying to push with the
yeah, they're definitely
expansion.
trying to push it, and we'll see if it becomes a thing. But if you're running the conventional hunters we're seeing at the moment, like face and mid game, if you've lost the board to such an extent that these cards become value, then you've probably lost.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think the it's just
Like
too.
7-mana 4/2 is absolutely horrific stats. You need to get some insane value by killing tons of minions in order to make that worth it.
That needs to also have that. If I saw 7-mana 4/2, that description better be godly, and that is
Yeah,
not a godly
exactly.
description.
Yeah, especially since Hunter doesn't have Whirlwind and stuff. Like, if you're a warrior and you've got Whirlwind and Inner Rage, like maybe this card's good because it's basically execute for every card. But I don't know. I don't think other than Unleash the Hounds, I can't really think of that many synergies Hunter can pull off with that, other
Yeah,
than Dreadscale.
I'm not sure it's quite. It's just not up there. So
What do you think of Dreadscale on its own, though?
I think Acid More is it's just a I don't think it's just not worth it. It's way too overpriced for what it does. Whilst
Yeah, it would need to be a different type of deck for it to work. I can't think of where it would fit in.
I think Dreadscale is a cool card. I think it's a good card as well. I think it's really geared towards a control hunter, because if you're playing someone who's chucking out a bunch of one health minions, this is guaranteed to the end of the turn deal with those. When you play it, it's gonna have an instant effect, or almost
Yeah,
instant effect on the board, which is always a good thing.
yeah. I mean, the other 3-mana card. Wait, is Unstable Ghoul a 2-mana or a 3-mana card? 2-mana.
2-mana 1/3.
Is this card even better than Unstable Ghoul? Like, because if you have Taunt, you gain 3 health basically against a super aggro deck, and you get the 1-mana, you get the Whirlwind type effect anyway.
They can't play around they can't directly play around the dread
Yeah,
scale though.
maybe, but then I doubt this card lives more than a turn against a super aggro deck unless they all are running exclusively 1 health creatures. I think a problem with this is you need to basically kill creatures as you drop this, otherwise it dies.
Yeah.
So they need to have 1 health creatures or creatures that have been dropped to 1 health. And in order for that kind of deck to be being run, it would need to be even more aggro than it already is. And if it's even more aggro, then why are you running a control hunter, and not like why does hunter become control? I'm not sure. I like the card, but I'm not sure it fits.
I think they both have cool effects. I like how they sort of look as if they're related cards, but I just feel like
This card's probably okay, right?
yeah, it's okay. I think
There's lots of bad legendaries. This card's like decent.
but yeah, I think this card's okay. Acid Maw is terrible, my opinion at least.
I like the card art though.
Yeah, it's very cool. So next, Stable Master. So we already know Warrior has oh no, they have what's it called again? Give +2/+2, a beast +2/+2 and immune. What's the name of that card?
Oh, like Bestial Wrath?
Yeah,
Or something?
Bestial Wrath, that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, can we think of this as a Divine Shield? Is this basically Divine Shield? Like, I can't think
Yeah,
really why.
if you're
I
running a
suppose
beast
it divides
synergy
board
deck.
things.
Yeah, right. If you're running a beast synergy deck, it's a 3-man 4/2 give a friendly immune divide shield.
Yeah, just because there's lots of Divine Shield, whereas Immune is hardly ever run, so it's harder to compare. 3 mana 4/2, give Divine Shield to a beast. Do you run that?
Our beast deck's being run at the moment in Hunter though. I mean, if there's a beast
No.
deck for
If you're
Hunter, we
running a
run it.
beast deck, I think if you're running a beast deck, this makes it.
Uh,
But I don't think beast decks
Otherwise,
on the rise. I don't think it's gonna be that great.
yeah.
Although there is another good card that synergizes with beast decks that we're gonna see in a second.
Yeah. I mean,
That is maybe
I guess it's okay in Arena. It's not. It's
a 3
probably.
mana 4/2 is like
Yeah.
meh, below average.
It's leading towards the lower side of okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I mean, this is basically just a 3/4/2 in Arena.
this next card is
Lock and load.
is quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, I
So,
like this card. One of the earlier ones to be released. Got a lot of hype when it was released. Definitely pushing the sort of control hunter type decks, because you discard in the current hunter decks is pretty crap, pretty useless. How many spells do you think you have to get off this to make it worth? Maybe.
Well, they used to be run before the expansions came out. People used to run stuff like Arcane Intellect, right? And there was a 3 mana
That's
draw
3
2.
mana, draw 2 cards. This is 2 mana, get random cards. So maybe 2, 3. Yeah, 2 probably.
If you get 2, I think you've got value of this card. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so you need to get 2 or 3 spells. Yeah, I like this card. If you're running a control hunter, I think you experiment with this card. But yeah, I think you try it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd run it in Arena because I can't guarantee I'm going to get spells.
Yeah, for
unless
sure.
you've already picked it.
The other good thing with this card is if you've got secrets in your hunter deck, which you probably will, because some of the hunter secrets are pretty good, then you can, if you know you've got this card, you can wait for playing them, and then you can play them when you get it. Whereas other spell cards that might deal damage, it depends whether the board state makes them worthwhile. But a secret, you can almost always get value out of it by playing it on this turn when you're playing lock and load.
Yeah.
So you might be able to easily get some cards that way.
Alright, so now there's Ball of Spiders. So isn't it a really cool card? I really like it.
Yeah, it's super slow.
Yeah, the meta would have to slow down hugely for this card to be playable.
Like for the immediate board state, Master for Battles costs 3 less, and you get a weapon. And there's loads of synergy with the recruit. This card costs 6 mana. The problem is, at 6 mana, there's probably decently big threats that you have to deal with on the board. And if they have a big creature and you play this, like, you fall quite far behind on the board, because all of a sudden they have 2 big creatures when the next time you want to play something big.
Yeah.
So basically, it's almost like 6 mana, get a 3/3, and draw 3 random beast cards. But so if it was a 6 mana 3/3, draw 3 random beast cards, would it be good enough? Maybe.
Maybe, I guess.
Probably.
In a way, you can compare it to Dark Whispers, which is a 5 mana 5/5 summon 5 1/1 wisps. Except for you lose 2. It's 1 mana more expensive. You lose 2 wisps and you get 3 random beasts.
Yeah. I mean, no one's running Dark Whispers, but the card draw would be good.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, I think if you had a 6 mana 3/3, draw 3 cards, that's good value. The problem is that's really slow, and this card is even slower because you have to wait a turn for the web spins to actually die, and then you have to get the cards. You might get 1 or 2 cards from it.
I think you have to be either the meta has to be really slow, like really slow, to play this card, or you can't play it when you're on even terms because you could just fall behind on that board.
Yeah,
I think
that's the problem. Like, it's really difficult to stay competitive on the board and also play this card. So probably I don't think it's going to see that much play.
Yeah. Okay. So next up we have Ram Wrangler then. So that's a 5 mana 3/3 battle cry. If you have a beast, summon a random beast. Now,
yeah.
If we just have a look at what beasts there are, I mean, there's some insane picks you can get, right? There's stuff like Gazrilla, King Crush,
Savannah
Highmane. There are some lesser beasts, Web Spinner, for example, River Crocolisk, Bloodfen Raptor.
Even River Crocolisk's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
But
That's
I think this card is quite good value if you can trigger it, and if you can reliably not have any problem in finding a target for this and getting an extra beast. Like, this card's probably a good value card. The problem with it is you need to have enough beasts to be able to reliably do that, and you need to have them stick on the board.
yeah.
And also, like, this is a 5-mana card, and lots of hunts at the moment are sort of kind of running out of steam by turn 5. So this card's quite slow.
But I guess the Grand Tournament started to push control, though, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
with also the number of beasts that they have introduced, I feel like it would only work in a strong beast synergy deck. But in a beast synergy deck, it'd be very good, because if we just assume like the average beast we're looking at is like an Iron Foe Grizzly in stats, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a 5-mana 3/3, and that may be conservative. That's a 5-mana 6/6, but the stats are split across 2 minions, which is even better.
Yeah, I think it's good. The problem is you have to. I think the meta would need a different type of deck, because you have to remember that Houndmaster is a really, really good card in theory, like stat-wise, and the value you get for that card is really good. But it's not seeing that much play just because the current Hunter decks aren't playing enough beasts to reliably take advantage of it. So in a world where Houndmaster is really good, I think Ram Wrangler is also really good, but that might be a different world than what we have. We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, the next card, actually, I think that's insane. I almost think any other deck would pick that. And so I'm glad they've given it to Hunter for control, because effectively, I guess we can compare this to Consecration, which is 4-mana, deal 2 damage to all the
I think you can.
enemies. And thus, most of the time, there shouldn't be more than 3 minions on your opponent's board. So it's not like they can only target a maximum of 3 is a detriment to it hugely. It's 1 mana less as well.
Yeah, and 1 mana less for a removal spell is huge, because you can clear the board and then you can play a bigger thing and you can clear the board earlier. And also, the only other Hunters don't have that much board clear. They have explosive traps, but that's a bit situational, and they have Unleash the Hounds and things. But this is a nice card for them.
I guess
the only time you're really going to have clear more than 3 minions is if they're playing a really aggressive deck, or they're playing something that's summoning loads of things at once, like Implosion. But for the most part, 2 damage to 3 minions is going to be plenty.
But again, if they're really throwing out that many 1-health minions, we got the I think it was the Acid Maw, I can't remember which one, but the 3-mana 4/2 that Dreadscale that does 1 damage to at the end of your turn to all other minions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is a great counter.
Hunter has some good cards in this set that deal with aggression quite well.
I guess you could also compare it in a way to Cleave, and wasn't like really, really early on before any expansions Cleave was run. And
this card's probably
much better. It's 1 more mana, but you get to do that to one more character, and you get to control which ones get hit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this card's good.
Yeah.
If you were running a control Hunter deck, I think you'd put this in for sure.
For sure. Okay, so next up we have King's Elk, which is
Elk,
which is a it's a strictly better Bloodfen Raptor.
Yep. I think the card is quite good. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's arena good, but I don't think it's... Because in arena, like, Bloodfen Raptor is fine, and this card is like, significantly better. But I don't think it's that good for constructed. I might be wrong. The fact that it's a beast might be enough. But what you have to remember is if you're playing a Hunter deck and relying on Joust, like, you need your curve to be really quite late game, because you're going to come up against control matchups, which is really when this extra card's going to matter, is against control matchups. And most of the control decks already out there are running significantly higher mana curves than any Hunter deck at the moment.
It would really need to be placed in a control Hunter, but then I think if...
But even a control Hunter, like, given the fact that if you have the same mana cost, you lose the Joust, I don't think this card's going to be reliable enough to see play.
I agree.
Or see much, or to be that good.
There were better cards in contention for those spots than
Yeah.
But in arena, it's fine. It's above
Yeah, I
average.
think it's above average. It's a good card.
Okay, so next is Bear Trap, which I think is a really interesting card. Um,
Yeah, I think
well,
it's really good.
especially since it's the keyword being after your hero is attacked and not when your hero is attacked. So fine, you'll take the face damage, but then you'll immediately have that 3/3 bear with taunt up, and so that's
Yeah.
effectively an Iron Fur for one less, and has I guess it has pseudo charge because you'll be able to attack with it straight away on your turn.
I don't think we can think of it as having charge because you have to wait for it to be activated, so you can't use it
Yeah,
as
but
three damage.
once it's
But I think
activated,
it's a good card and it's good value. I think the traps that Hunter has are really powerful, especially since this changes the way you have to think about how you attack. Because normally your standard way of attacking is, firstly, is explosive trap going to destroy my board? And once you've thought about that and taken advantage of that, if you're you're going to attack with your lowest attack minion, so that if it gets freezing trapped, you don't mind too much, and if it gets misdirectioned, it doesn't matter too much. But when you add in this card, all of a sudden you might have a big creature that suddenly gets blocked by a 3/3. So you might have to rethink and weigh up the chances of what the trap could be, and that might matter as to how you play around it. Which I think is the cool thing about secrets is how the other player has to try and play around them.
yeah, I also think
I think this card's good.
yeah, as they also add in more secrets, it just makes it a lot harder and harder, and I think that's a good thing. I think secrets should be more of a surprise than you know what it's gonna be necessarily.
Yeah, I like the fact there's diversity, but I'm not sure I want there to be too many secrets. Because at the point where it becomes impossible to play around them effectively, if you can't tell at all what it is, then I think that takes away quite a lot of the skill.
Yeah, but we're not quite.
We're not there yet.
near
We're not
that.
there yet.
So yeah, but I think that's a good card.
Yep.
So I guess those are the hunter cards. So now let's move on.
No,
To...
there's Brave Hunter.
Why is the it hasn't loaded for me?
Oh, okay. Well, Brave Hunter is
Brave Hunter.
a
I'll load
one
that up on
mana.
a separate screen. Search results for Brave Hunter. It's not. One sec. That's new hunter card. Brave. I'm gonna try and see if I can bring it up somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, I've got it. So yeah, a Brave Hunter 1 mana 2/1. If your hand's empty, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero.
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, I think this card is almost always worse than Leopard.
Yeah, I agree because it's never Lepinome's. Unless they want to waste a silence on the Lepinome, it's guaranteed damage. And
Yeah,
if they
and the
waste,
problem.
no, if they waste a silence on the Lepinome, which there's no way I can imagine anyone doing that, that's a huge win for you.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it's most of the time not a Lepino. Yeah, it has to be when your hand is empty. And if you're playing lots of one-drops, like, you want to play them as early as possible on turn one. Otherwise, why are you playing a one-drop and not something else? And if you're doing that, you're not going to have an empty hand. So this card is, even if you draw this when your hand is empty, this card isn't necessarily better than Lepino. Because you're unlikely to have a 2/1 live for more than 1 or 2 turns.
And yeah, it's designed for. It's clearly also designed for face hunter rather than control hunter,
yeah.
and really you're not going to get to a point where you're having a top deck wars with your opponent. I don't think it'll reach that stage.
Yeah.
The game would be decided much earlier.
I think you only play this card if you're already running Lepinome, 2 copies of Lepinome, and you want to have even more. Because Lepinome is a good card, right? Like, it's a good one-drop in Face Hunter. So maybe this card makes it in as well, but I don't think so. Maybe you can... There's lots of cards now that Hunter has that get additional benefit when your hand is empty. What's that? There's Core Rager or something, and also Quickshot, obviously. So maybe there's a sufficiently aggressive Hunter that this card sees value, but I don't think so. I think you just run Lepinome and move on.
But in order for Hunter to be that aggressive, then a card like Dreadscale just becomes insane against decks like that.
Maybe, but Face Hunter's strong now.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of cards in most sets that theoretically deal with aggro. Aggro's just strong.
Okay, so then that actually concludes the Hunter cards.